Hi there everybody, this is David, and today I'm wearing the worst shirt because I want to talk about the worst RPGs of the decade. Yeah, we're only about 5 or so years into the 2020s, but there's plenty of bad games to go around, and I want to talk to you all about them today, going through them in release order, and I do think that is worth a sub, as I do try my hardest to level up to 100,000 subscribers. With your help, your like, and your sub, I just know I can get there. And I thank you so much for that. And I do, though, before we start, want to set some ground rules about this, because I don't want to go after like the low-hanging fruit of the gacha games or the indie games or anything else like that. I only want to talk about full-on console releases. So if this shitty freaking game came out on a console system, it is fair game as far as I'm concerned. So let's go ahead and get started going over these in release order. First up, we have Arc of Alchemist, released in January of 2020 for the PS4 and Nintendo Switch. Oh, look! It's our favorites again, Compile Heart and Idea Factory. A match made in hell. I'm kind of hard-pressed to even call this a game, because it's more like an unfinished experiment, or even like a tech demo even. It's the first time that they've actually really tried to do an action RPG, and they just failed miserably. It's just so odd, because it somehow manages to be like both too simple and too complicated at the same time, while also being completely mind-numbingly boring, with tons of unexplained systems and like a nothing burger of a story. Everything is just so barren and lifeless. The controls suck and the camera's even worse. And even though I got this thing for like $10, I still feel so completely ripped off. Number 2. Chris Tales, released in July of 2021 for the PS4, PS5, Xbox, Switch, and PC. Gosh, y'all, remember the hype around this game? Everybody and their mother was going on about it like it was going to be like the next Chrono Trigger. But let me tell you, just inserting time travel into a jrpg does not make it the next Chrono Trigger. Not by a long shot. Then the designers would like just go on and on and on about their Colombian inspirations with the character designs, architecture, and color schemes. Maybe instead of like going on and on and on about their inspirations, they should have actually been inspired to make a good game. Because what we actually received was just a dumpster fire. To quote Dracula himself, "What is a Chris Tales? A miserable pile of loading times." There was loading for everything. Like, it was insane. You know that it's a problem whenever it takes 30 seconds just to load up a random battle and over a half an hour just to beat a single frickin' boss. Yeah, I was feeling kind of petty in my review, and I timed it. I just couldn't believe it. Number 3. Fragrant Story, released in April of 2022 for the 3DS. So far, we've just looked at some bad games. I mean, they were games, but they were terrible. However, this one is so bad that it transcends from just being like a bad game into not being a game at all and just being an absolute scam. Fragrant Story was marketed as the last RPG to be released on the Nintendo 3DS, and the developer claimed that it was a strategy RPG in the same vein as Final Fantasy Tactics. But little did we know then, rather than consisting of some grandiose story filled with multiple levels, job classes, chapters, and a gripping story, that we were instead going to be getting 3, count them, 3 shitty stages. Yeah, the entire game lasts no more than 10 minutes. I did an 8-minute review of this back in the day that pretty much doubled as a freaking Let's Play. I mean, I played Flash browser games more involved in this craptastic pile of garbage. Number 4. Valkyrie Elysium, released in September of 2022 for the PS4, PS5, and PC. Dead, drab, boring, empty, and generic. These are words used in varying reviews to describe this game. It almost feels like Square was like developing some generic action RPG, and rather than trying to like make it unique in its own different way, they instead just decided to like change the main character into a Valkyrie and then slap this title on it. Then like hope and pray that it would sell on name recognition alone, because really, there's no other redeeming qualities here. It has nothing at all to do with the rest of the illustrious series. Turn-based battles are gone. Metroidvania exploration, intricate puzzle solving is gone as well. Multiple party members are not here either. Oh, and you know what? You know all that interesting characterization, along with the death vignettes that the series is so well known for? Yup, they're gone too. Towns are nowhere to be had, and Asgard is empty. Look how they massacred my boy! Number 5. Neptunia Sisters vs. Sisters, released in January of 2023 for the PS4, PS5, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Holy crapolas! This shit sucked. Full disclosure, I made a review for this game after Idea Factory contacted me, and they provided me with a free code as well as some cool funds. But despite what people actually think, just because you're paid for a review does not mean that you have to make your review positive. You're allowed to be honest. I don't sign a contract unless it says, hey, you can be honest. I tell people this all the time, but they never really seem to believe me. But if you don't, you can always go back and watch my review on this god-awful game, or you can just listen to me blast it here again. Whatever works for y'all. Because this was one of the worst action RPGs I've ever had the displeasure of playing, with the most janky controls, cut-and-paste hallways, and the most inane, stupid dialogue I've ever read in my entire life. I'm surprised that my eyes are still in my sockets, considering that they rolled out of my head a million times during the 40 hours of this dumpster fire of a game. Number 6. Lootbait Summer of the Gods, released in June 2023 for the PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Gosh, I hated this game so much. There are literally no redeeming qualities to this hunk of junk. And to think there was actually pedigree behind this game, including the teams that worked on both Lunar and Grandia. But I personally was a bit apprehensive when they kept going on and on about some anime mumbo-jumbo, but whatever. I still kept my hopes high. Hope springs eternal in the human heart, as they say. But nothing prepared me for just how god-awful it was going to be whenever I played it. Remember that movie, Groundhog Day? Where Billy Crystal just kept waking up in the same day and doing the same things over and over again? That's what it's like to play this game. It's absolutely infuriating and maddening. All you do is sit around and talk to the same people over and over again, and look at the same boring freaking scenes over and over again, go to the same boring places over and over again until you literally randomly, and I do mean randomly, encounter some anomaly that you have to take care of, just so you can turn around and continue talking to stupid, inane people over and over and over again 8 more freaking times so you can throw this crap out the window. Number 7. Cry Machina, released in July 2023 for the PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Let me pitch a game idea to you, and you tell me if you think it will do well. Take 3 obnoxious girls who all hate humanity and all have the personality of a cardboard box, give them all pink eye, and have pus oozing out of their eyeballs, and then set them off to restore humanity, even though, they hate humans. And then, let's make these stages be action-packed, have all of them look exactly the same. Throw in some Dark Souls difficulty just for the lulz, and then, to decompress between the stages, they throw little girly tea parties where they chat and gossip about the stupidest crap you've ever heard of in my life. And yeah, let's make those tea parties mandatory. And then you could just imagine all the disgusting pink eye pus dripping down out of their eyeballs into their tea cakes and their teacups as they eat. Vomitrocious. I mean, give me a break. It's just so disjointed. It's like they didn't even know what they wanted to do. Is it an action RPG? Is it a visual novel? Is it a harem? I'm not sure, but I do know this. It is a piece of shit. Number 8. Star Ocean Wings for Hire, released in January of 2024 for the PS5, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Whenever you say that your game is a spiritual successor to one of gaming's most timeless classics, then you really do need to live up to that hype. Unfortunately for us, though, this did not soar to the heights of Skies of Arcadia. It just crashed and burned. Not only is it rife with bugs and just janky to the max, but for a game that should pride itself on exploration and traveling throughout the skies, there's just nothing out there. There's nothing to find. There's nothing to do. And the dungeons are empty too. Hell, the entire world is just empty. So you end up just kind of going from point A to point B, or trying to do your best to avoid enemy encounters because they're just so pointless, long-winded, and boring. Not to mention the enemy AI is brainless, and you just miss all the time. It's the worst. Well, not really, because actually the camera's the worst. It's really the main boss of the game here. It's so bad. Number 9. My Life as a Slime, released in August of 2024 for the PS4, PS5, Xbox, Switch, and PC. As if it's any kind of shock to y'all that a game based upon an anime would be some sort of cheap cash grab, they marketed this as kind of like a Tales of Light sort of game with some town building and action combat. But while Tales games are packed to the brim with content, this just has nothing in it. The combat is always the same thing. You only have a few moves that you can use, and the dungeons are not only hallway simulators, but they're just blatant cut and pastes. Then, The much-hyped town building might as well just not even be there. It's just completely useless. I don't think I've ever seen a cheaper, lazier game ever made in my entire life. Everything's just a reskin of everything else. I can't imagine they spent more than 5 figures on this game, and I'm actually really shocked that it even got localized in the first place because it's just embarrassing. And number 10, Rainis. Released in September of 2024 for the PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Finally, we have our most recent game on the list, Rainis, or as I like to call it, what the fuck is this? I thought that it might be fun when I first played it back at PAX, and the demo looked pretty cool, but the full game is so frickin' boring, and the combat really just blows. You're constantly switching between being a magic user or being a human, so that you can use your attacks or not, and then having to use quick time events in combat too. On paper it seems fine, but in action, ugh, it's the worst. Though could anything actually be worse than these graphics? I've literally seen PS2 games look better than this. It's just insane. So that's it for the worst RPGs released this decade. But now, I have to ask you, have you played any of these games, and how do you feel about them? And do you think that there were any other games that are worse than these that released this decade? Let's all talk and chat about it in the comments. And if you like this video, here's another video that I really do think that you'll thoroughly enjoy, so please do be sure to check that one out. And as always, please be sure to leave a like and a comment, and have a good day.